Welcome to Shop Talk Live, episode number 355. Today, this is a great episode for those who go back to the time of, let's see, I think there was an episode, it was Mike, Barry, and me in the studio. Remember the studio before COVID? And we got to talking about pencils. And I can't tell you how many pencil conversations I've had based on that episode. And, you know, well, we've got, I can't believe I'm saying this. Mike and I are joined by Grant Christensen, the president of Blackwing Pencils, to talk about pencils, to geek out about pencils and woodworking and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, so if you are a pencil head like me and like Mike and like Amanda and like Anissa and like Vic and like all the cool woodworkers, it's an interesting episode. Yeah, Blackwing reached out. They wanted to share some pencils with us, and we mentioned the podcast, and Grant listened to it and said, "Hey, I want to talk to these weirdos." So yeah, we've got a fun episode. Also, Anissa, Amanda, and I discuss some of the woodworking's unanswerable questions. Who inspires us the most? And as any conversation with Anissa and Amanda, it goes off the rails and we have a good time. So yeah, buckle up. You're in for a ride. Anissa, Amanda?
Ben?
Are you ready for...
Ben.
Okay, so I know Amanda's always game for this stuff, but Anissa, I think this stuff makes you squirm.
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
So
when somebody asked me my favorite season or my favorite color, like, why do I just have to pick one?
well, that's what. Okay, so Siggy asked on Discord, and we've already decided we're not going to answer exactly as asked, right? But Siggy asks, "Who is your greatest woodworking inspiration, craftsperson or designer? Why do they inspire you, and how have they influenced your work?" I mean, Siggy, wonderful question, but way loaded beyond all belief, right?
Yeah, and so broad. I can't pin it down. And one of the other reasons it makes me squirm is because this kind of stuff comes up in the podcast invariably. Maybe it's embedded in another question, or we detour into this, and I also can't remember what I've said in the past. So that's part of it.
And there's somebody sitting there indexing everything Anissa said.
Yeah.
So we decided to turn it into, though, 3. What did I say? I'm reading it from Slack. I think we should do a take on answering this Monday. Maybe not greatest, but maybe we should each talk about a few people who have inspired us lately. I had 3 in my head all of a sudden, but I guess I didn't say that. So I'm not going to hold anyone to 3. Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody okay, so this isn't definitive, right? But I think it's a good chance for us to talk about who's inspiring us lately. So, Amanda, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, no pressure. So recently I went back to the Esherick Museum, and it kind of, I mean, I don't know if Anissa, you've been. Ben, have you been?
I have not.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's incredible.
It's just, yeah, every time I go, I think this is the 5th time I've gone. And every time I go, it's discovering more and more.
Yeah.
And then yesterday I saw on Instagram, Katie Hudnall won one of the runner-up for Maker of the Year for Wood Review.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
For the pieces she had for Museum for Art in Wood. I'm going to say that wrong. Museum for Art in Wood.
Yeah, Museum for Art in Wood. Yeah,
wow.
That's right.
My brain's not 100% today. But that piece, I got to see all those pieces, but I believe it's the Cabinet of Lost and Found Things.
Mm-hmm.
And those two kind of tie in together for me. Esherick and Katie's work goes beyond the scope of, kind of explores going beyond furniture. And it's more of an art approach. But that's been really inspiring for me lately. It's kind of not like limiting myself to just furniture and exploring that a little bit more.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just 2 out of many, right? But I feel like those 2 kind of tie into each other lately
So
and have been a big inspo.
you've been to the Esherick Museum 5 times and you're still
Yeah.
you're still like that
It's
says a lot.
Oh, Ben, if you what you will get that once you go there. You
Yeah.
will understand just how dense. I mean, he's made everything in that house, and
5
it's
times.
you could probably go there 50 times and still pick up on the nuance of his work just in one piece, let alone the whole house full of everything that he's made. You
Okay.
have to go.
I know.
It's incredible.
If only I knew people to go with.
Who live nearby or work there.
Right. I mean, Larissa she says she's still finding things, you know. She's there
But I
once
don't
a
think
week.
that's fair because I'm pretty sure she's like pulling the drawers out and looking at like under the drawers and finding like weird notes written and stuff that like nobody would ever like. I think she probably gets more out of it because she has better access than anyone. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this time I went, my friend Casey actually lives on the compound. So he gave me and my friend a private tour. And so, yeah, we're able to open drawers and, I'm not touching anything, but he can, he's able to, look into stuff that doesn't go on the typical tour.
Uh-huh.
But it's just incredible. And it's like, seeing Katie's work too of just, this cabinet that she won the award is just like things she's picked up on while traveling, and we have a whole video on it that I'll link to the podcast notes. But I love the idea of taking woodworking beyond furniture, and it's been really inspiring for me. And it's like having that like unlimited view on woodworking in general. It's just been really inspiring. But yeah, the list, I have a huge list, but for me that stood out recently.
Okay. I'll go with one. Buy you some more time, Anissa.
Okay.
So I almost wrote down, I'm gonna give him an honorable mention on the way to talking about somebody else. But since he is our boss, I was going to say, I was like, oh, you can't say Pekovic. But one thing that I am inspired by with Mike's work, and it led me to think, oh, okay, but my real answer has to be, I love it when people think about the most tiniest detail of a woodworking process. And like Mike's goal is always like to dial in his processes so that his students are guaranteed success in a class. And I think that's incredible. And somebody else like that who thinks about the process and obviously just obsesses over process and how to guarantee success in the processes and techniques that they use is Peter Galbert. Where it's like he's just constantly, like, I think at 11:30 at night when he's going to bed or something, he's still thinking about a way of improving a tool or a process 0.1%. And I don't know of anyone that has probably brought more to would we call like Windsor chairs like a genre, or I don't know, but like he's taken, everything that Dave Sawyer and Curtis Buchanan have done, and he has fine-tuned the processes more than I think anyone could imagine, where it's like and then also in the process invented tools and kind of handed those tools off to other makers to create and sell in order to help them make a living. Like that the way he does things like that just inspires me to no end.
Yeah,
So,
that generosity to
yeah.
Mhm.
I get that.
Yeah. So
I like
like
that.
I mean, beyond making incredibly beautiful chairs, original chairs in, a world where you think that every chair has been made. He's also doing it for a woodworking technique standpoint and opening up his studio to other creators and just I think generous and thorough as can be. So that's my first one. I'm gonna come back around though.
Well, that was kind of like two. You got Pekovic and
No, because
Gilbert.
Pekovic was on the way to Galbert.
Yeah.
Honorable mention,
All
but
right,
I couldn't put him down because that would be kissing the boss's butt, right? So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'll say something mean about him later, okay?
All right. That sounds like a good plan. That kind of balances the scales, right?
Pekovic, you don't reply back to emails consistently. And it drives me nuts. See? Now I brought it right back down.
There you go. Although I don't think he cares if you are annoyed that he's not answering your emails promptly.
Like that was a
sirens
very
going on?
neutral. That's me.
That's Amanda.
Guaranteed that's me. Yeah.
Huh. All right. So I guess the pressure's on me. I should preface this whole thing by saying I am easily inspired. It doesn't take a lot for me to be inspired by, something as simple as something that's as simple as a birdhouse or a cutting board or something like that. If somebody's making me look at that piece in a slightly different way than I normally would. For example, my kid made a little sushi tray, and he made the foot or the 2 feet on the bottom of this sushi tray. The way he oriented he had a little bit of contrasting wood in this piece. The way he oriented the contrasting wood in opposition to the contrasting wood of the feet. So on the board, it was super cool. It was a very simple project. It was really well crafted for what it was, but that extra little detail that he made in changing up the way the wood contrasted and juxtaposing it underneath, I was just like, bam, that was so cool. I don't know that I would have thought of doing it that way. And yes, he is my son, so I'm biased, but I'm just trying to make that point that it doesn't take a lot to get me thinking like, oh, that's really cool. And then that will start me thinking about something else. And I'm also in that super privileged position of being around so many people who are doing such cool things all the time that I really do leave every shoot inspired and jazzed to go home and get back in my shop, which never happens, but I do leave every shoot coming out with at least like 4 or 5 really cool tidbits that I'm fortunate enough to see in person. And even, for example, I was out recently in Montana with Doug King, and he was doing this glass top end table that's actually coming out in the issue that's coming up. And he just had so many iterations of this table, and and I got to see either photographs or finished pieces of this table, and just to see that design evolution in person and see how excited he was about how he went from here to here to here to here, and then how efficient he made the construction of that final piece based on all of these other things that came before it. that inspired me, and his excitement about it inspired me. And then, a couple weeks before that, I was out at Lost Art Press with Chris and Megan doing the Smalls article that I think might be in the same issue. I'm getting them all kind of convoluted. But just to see them, I don't want to diminish what the finished product is, but just to see them banging out these projects with a hammer and nails and tacking it together with these really cute designs, very efficient, or not efficiently made, but also super functional. That's going to be a great article too. That inspired me. And then, I started rereading the Krenov books again. That's super inspiring. And I could sit here and go on about all the different people. Hank Gilpin, holy cow. When you go in his shop and you see the way his shop is set up, when you pour through the drawings that he does to get to a finished piece, the technical excellence and complication of what he does and the original designs. And then Chris Bexford he's managed to be the shaker guy, but even in his original work, you can see that it's an original piece and yet still holds to that shaker ethos. That's inspiring. When I'm just clicking through somebody's Instagram who just started working and doing woodworking, and I can see how quickly they're evolving and what they do, that's inspiring. I need to just stop now because
I love that you went from this is an icky question to answering it the best way possible.
It's just it's all so
My name's
cool.
Anissa Capsalis, and everything in the world is inspiring to me.
It is. It comes back to why I've been in the job so long, I guess, and why I still really like the job. I guess I'm just the biggest woodworking nerd out there. It's just so... It's really cool stuff.
Can confirm. Big woodworking nerd.
Right? I can confirm that you
I have
are
a hard
as well.
time saying biggest when you're on my screen next to Amanda, because Amanda's a pretty big woodworking nerd too, trust me. All right, so I am going to totally derail this now. Because you said something that made me think, ooh. I am on record. I have a deep history of I really only make one thing. And I iterate on baritone ukuleles. You two, though, if you were was it Doug?
Doug King, yeah.
Yeah. Who's been iterating on a project. What would that style be? Okay, you have to take your woodworking and commit to one thing to iterate on over the next 10 years. What would that be?
Oh, man. I'm a Libra. I'm not playing this game. I don't know.
No?
I don't.
That's a hard question.
You're stressing me out, man. Now I'm anxious. Boxes are really cool, right? And so good to give away to people, and you could store all kinds of little stuff in them. And a box could be a box on a stand. It could be a dresser.
She's Pekovicing it.
It could be. Oh God, I am. You're right. It could be a bookshelf. A box.
The world is a box. The world is inspiring and a box.
Box me in.
Okay, Amanda, you've had time to squirm.
Yeah. I'd lean cabinet. I'd lean wall cabinet.
Wall cabinet?
Or cabinet
box.
on a cabinet. It's a box also.
Right.
That's again too good of an answer. I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that. A cabinet, maybe not a wall cabinet necessarily, but some form of a cabinet.
Okay. I think you both
something that holds things.
I'm saying you both dodged it, and this is going to come back up at some point. I want a real answer. sometimes.
A box. My answer.
But like,
Are you
what
talking
kind of
about like a
box?
very specific?
Like I think it needs to be more specific. I think it would need to be like Schwarz's coffer, like that, like a style of box or something like that, where it's like, this is what I make. I make coffers. And or Cullen, with his bandsaw boxes. Like I think that there needs to be a little bit more specificity. Like, I don't even make other ukulele. I just make baritone ukuleles.
Well, so that can't be your answer. You need to come up with something.
No, I have my answer. I already
let's hear
said
it.
baritone ukuleles.
Yeah, but that's what
I'm
you
like-
already do.
If you didn't do that, what
I'm
would you do?
committed to that.
Yeah, but you're making us commit to a different style.
Yeah, because I'm the host.
Oh, really? Then
Yeah.
I'm sticking with box. I'm making boxes.
All right. Fine.
What if it were like what Craig Divido does, like a puzzle box?
Oh my God.
Because you know where my brain's at, Ben. Like
Would
I
you
would
do
spend
one of those? Like, would you?
if I had the time and the capability, I would
like-
totally do something like that.
Like somebody swoops in, says, "Okay, here's a living stipend, blah blah blah." Like that's
Mhm.
what you would lean into as puzzle boxes.
I think so.
Oh my
moving
God.
parts.
I never saw that coming.
Really? I thought that you would totally feel
No,
like
because oh man, new goal.
like I'm so fascinated by that.
rich.
Yeah.
So that Amanda can just make puzzle boxes.
Yes.
And then I would set aside a living stipend for Anissa to make
Boxes.
No.
Unpuzzle boxes.
Unpuzzled
You-
box.
I wouldn't
easy to
step-
open box.
Yeah, I don't want to step on Amanda's puzzle box toes. But I mean, that's what Krenov did too, right? Like he refined that cabinet on a stand form.
True.
That's,
Yeah, but wouldn't his refinement be the hand plane, really? Like what? Okay. Question number 3. What would be like at the end of the day? Do you think his hand planes have done more inspiration, or his cabinet on stand? Maybe we need to.
I think his pieces.
Yeah, I'd lean that way too.
Yeah, you're right.
And woodworking tooling is also its own separate category, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Yeah. But that says something though, that like his Kronovian hand planes are, a monument in the woodworking world, but still his work itself stood up on its own without,
I mean, in that whole concept of you're making this, you're creating this tool that's helping you create these beautiful pieces of furniture or boxes or whatever. And I think that appealed to a lot of people too.
Yeah.
The idea of making this tool that you're going to then use to create another beautiful piece of woodworking or art or sculpture or however you want to define what you're making with it. I think that's pretty cool, and that also feeds into the whole a lot of his philosophies too, and I think that's why it became so well received and it resonated with so many people. So what are you making other than what you are currently already focusing on, Ben?
No, I'm not answering.
Oh, right, because you're the host. I forgot.
All right, let me think then, because that's one thing that I do think I have accepted, that I am a iterator. Is that a word? That's what I enjoy about robots so much, is like it's really fast iteration. But then I realized, like, oh no, I'm like on ukulele number 9 right now, just iterating. If I had to, I think if I couldn't do those two things to iterate on, I think I would be drawn to maybe like ladder back chairs, because you've got stylistic things you could always be working on. There's comfort things that you could always be working on, always trying new elements to, is it more comfortable with the lean this way? Is it more comfortable with the splay this way or whatever? There's functional, like, cabinet on stand is wonderful, but like, it's not something you interact with as much as like a dining room table, where it's like, it's gotta be, it's a part of your daily life. A chair is a part of your daily life. So something that you're interacting with on multiple levels, besides it being aesthetically pleasing, it needs to be, comfortable. And also there's like with ladder back chairs, there's a lot of room for honing and dialing in your processes, which I like. That's one of those things that I enjoy that more than anything, is like processing or figuring out new ways of coming up with processes like Peter Galbert. Yeah. So I think if I couldn't do baritone ukuleles, maybe it would be, the easy answer would be alto or concert ukuleles. Or actually parlor guitars. I would do parlor guitars. But if I couldn't do that, I would be like ladder back chairs. That's my answer. So
yeah, I like that.
Okay. All right.
I would do lighting. I'm going to change up completely.
Oh my gosh! Good answer.
That's a really good answer.
you have inspired me, Ben. See what I'm talking about? Like, you just speaking about the ladder back chairs. I think I would do lighting.
Great answer. Now mine's lighting too. I've been inspired by you. Oh man! All right, so Anissa, lighting. Oh, I could see you going really cool. Oh man.
Yeah. That's a really good answer.
All right. You get the living stipend from my lotto winnings too.
Yay. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, wow. All right. So lighting, puzzle boxes, ladder back chairs.
I like it.
Yeah.
We need to get a joint showroom somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's just a website. We'll have to think of a good name for it. Lighting, ladder back chairs, and puzzle boxes. I'm gonna come up with something.
So, Anissa, you know what the rest of this episode's about, right?
Pencils.
Yes. So talk about obsessing over one thing. All right.
Yes. That's true, right?
It does tie into, I was going to say, refinement.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more pencil talk than you could possibly stomach. And It's great. All right. When you're working on a project in the shop, putting in hours of effort, measuring, cutting, sanding, the last thing you want is for your project to come apart because the glue didn't hold. Trust me, I've had it happen. That's why you should keep a bottle of Gorilla Wood Glue on the bench. It's non-foaming, cleans up with water, and dries a natural color. And of course, there's the reliable Gorilla strength you can always trust. The bond is actually stronger than the wood itself. Also, look for Gorilla Wood Filler for strong, durable repairs with high-performance stainability, paintability, and sandability. You're left with a professional-looking finished project every time. Gorilla is strong enough for the pro and easy enough for the beginner. Regardless of the user or the job, every bond is built by you, backed by Gorilla. The hard-hitting questions from the journalists at Fine Woodworking Magazine. The gotcha
we want to know.
Yes. Why is it a 602 and not a 601? No. So I started thinking about all of the ways that people geek out on things that most people go through life and never thinking about, wow, there's somebody obsessing over the fit of a woodworking joint that you don't even see. Wow, there's somebody obsessing over, the the gap of the door on a Porsche 911 or something like that nobody cares about. They just want to go fast, or they just want to get from point A to point B. One of my favorite geeky obsessions, though, is pencils. And we've always thought at Fine Woodworking we were a little over the top. It happened organically that we just started obsessing over pencils, and then we kept buying each other pencils, and it just became this thing. And somehow we have the president of Blackwing, Grant Christensen, on the podcast right now. And this is just wild to me, that not only is there somebody out there that is A, geekier about pencils than even Mike Pekovich, but B, willing to come on the podcast and talk about pencils. And I mean, this is a woodworking podcast, but we're going off the rails today. So Grant, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. I'm a listener and a fan, so it's great to be here.
You're a woodworker, I hear.
I am a little bit. I grew up, my dad was always making things in the garage. He built cabinets for our house, Christmas toys, furniture. He was always doing stuff, but I never had the interest. I was always playing sports or playing music, and I just never had the interest. And a few years ago, when my wife and I bought our home, we had a formal dining room, and we're just not really formal dining room people. And I said, man, this would be a really cool spot to build a bar. And so we got some bids to build this L-shaped bar. And my dad came in and said, oh, no, we can do that. And so I thought, that would be really cool after all these years, a really cool father-son project to try and build this bar in this house. And so I think that first project, I bought a chop saw and a drill press. Those are kind of my first two tools. Absolutely. And we built that bar together, and I got hooked.
That's awesome. Yeah. Two great. I mean, drill press is often overlooked. So I don't know if your father pushed you into the drill press, but that was a wise decision there.
He absolutely did. And, I'm lucky to have it. I mean, I've got it in my blood. My uncle was a very successful custom home builder for a number of years. And I've even got a grandfather who ran a local lumber yard. So, it's kind of in the blood, but it never really hit me until, I was in my late 20s or so. And it just kind of, it clicked. And it's funny. It happened right about the same time we brought back the pencil. And as we were talking before we got going, I'm a musician as well. And I had stopped making music for years. And it was really about the time we brought back the pencil that I started making music again. I started writing again. I started playing the guitar again. And that's about the time I started getting into woodworking. And so there's just something about, from day one, we set out to try and give people, I'm on a computer screen all day, as a lot of people are, and just trying to give people an outlet for using a different part of their brain and getting more in touch with their senses. And so the pencil is just a tool that does that. But I think it wasn't a coincidence that I got into woodworking and back into music about the same time that we started on this adventure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So can you talk about, the listeners have heard this story before. Mike's definitely heard this story before. I went to school for musical arranging, and we would geek out about pencils, and everybody would search for the greatest pencil or whatever. And there was a teacher one time, there was an arranging teacher of mine who said, yeah, but you'll never know the joy of using a Blackwing 602. And it just immediately got implanted in my brain. And he just went on about how it was the perfect lead. It was everything about this pencil was just perfection. And, when you're writing charts all day, a Blackwing 602 is as good as it could get. And he had a stash, and he had one, and he wouldn't let us use it. And it was a thing. And I remember years after the fact, I was on eBay, and every now and then I'd search for, or no, I think there was a charity auction or something that I found, and somebody was selling a box of 10 602s. Starting bid was $100. And that's a lot of money for me today. That was a lot of money for me back then. And I came closer to draining my bank account that day than I should admit. But when you all reintroduced the 602, as soon as I found out about it, I went hunting for one. And what is it about? Can you give us a little bit of backstory about the Blackwing, the brand, and then the resurgence?
Yeah, so it kind of had this cult following dating back to the 1930s. John Steinbeck kind of famously hand wrote the first draft of Grapes of Wrath with a Blackwing pencil, and Chuck Jones used it to create Bugs Bunny, and he went on the record as saying that without quality tools like a Blackwing, he didn't know that Bugs Bunny would exist or not. So it kind of,
cool.
but it was still a very niche following. It was a very small business. And about the mid 90s, one of the machines that made the clip that goes inside the ferrule that allows the eraser to be extendable on a pencil, the machine broke. And a large corporation who I won't name ended up just discontinuing the brand because they didn't know the backstory, and it was such a small piece of business on paper, and it disappeared. And it was really around 2010 when pencil bloggers started reminiscing about Blackwing pencils. And the family that owns our company has been in the pencil industry since the 1800s. So the Berolsheimer family are literally pencil royalty. And the main business back then was in wood supply. So all of the California incense cedar, which is the best wood for making pencils, and it allows people talk about the really smooth finish on Blackwing pencils and the centered leads. That's really all driven by the high quality California incense cedar that is grown in Northern California and Southern Oregon. So that was the company's core business at that time. And because we had the best wood and the family had been in the industry so long, we knew where the best graphite was, and we knew the best artisan woodworker in Japan that could really make pencils to the quality of a Blackwing. And so it was kind of just started out as a fun project more than anything. Can we bring back the Blackwing pencil? And so the first pencil we made was what we now call the Blackwing matte, just kind of as a proof of concept. And it sort of took off. And that's when we got serious and said, okay, let's look at the tradition. How do you bring back the Blackwing 602 pencil? And so it started just as, how do we bring these pencils back? Not even really knowing if people would care, but seeing what a new generation of creative people would think about the Blackwing pencil. And from there, it's kind of grown into a culture of people just looking to slow down. So the pencil is the tool, and we make journals and all sorts of other, kind of high-end stationery products too. But really what we're trying to do is get people just to slow down. Everybody's on their screens, and that's not going to change. But if we could get people just to use a different part of their brain, and just get in touch with the different senses, it's even so much as the smell of the graphite as it is the feel of putting pencil on paper. It's just a way to bring balance to people's life and maybe get them to live a little more intentionally.
I think intentional is a good word for it. Mike, I mean, you're probably, the the most protective about pencils, the most pencil minded person I know. So what is the intentionality of a good pencil mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have many idols and mentors in woodworking. I've talked to many of them. I'm rarely starstruck, but I am today because, pencils are first off, like everything in my life, I tend to be a little bit directed. The pants I wear, the t-shirts I wear, the socks I wear, the shoes I wear, all has to be exactly the same, exactly right. And so pencils, for me, one of my jobs at Fine Woodworking as the art director is I do a little chicken scratch thumbnail sheet of every single article in every single issue of Fine Woodworking, probably for the last 20 years. This is like my brain. And so it all happens with a pencil. And for a very long time, it was a Ticonderoga #2 made in Mexico with a cedar core, not that punky white wood that you get in the box of 24 pre-sharpened pencils at Staples. So that was like my go-to forever. And I had a cup of brand new, very sharp pencils. And during this meeting where we would lay out the photos and figure out the order, and I would make this thumbnail, if anyone ever actually touched my pencil, they kept it. It's like, do not touch my pencil. And this pencil, and obviously in my woodworking,
Grant, he isn't like a germaphobe or anything. He just had a weird.
So, sorry, this is a long story, but it's like meeting Bruce Springsteen and telling him how long I've been a fan and what I really thought of Nebraska when it first came out. But so I was teaching at a kind of woodworking event, and Michael Cullen, one of my heroes in the woodworking field, was teaching as well. And he gave me kind of a short, stubby silver Blackwing. He said, "Here, Mike, try this out." And, the first thing you notice is the eraser is kind of square and long, which is pretty cool. But then the minute you wrote with it, it's like, okay, this is very different. This is a pencil. Plus, it was given to me by someone I really admired. So that emotional connection to this pencil was everything. And so I had bought a box of the silver pencils, and that is what, all of my articles are now laid out with the silver pencil. In the shop, I have the clear finished cedar pencil. I guess it's just a little bit harder. I think that's like the hardest lead you have. And even then, it's not like hard. I think it's almost like a #2 pencil. It's like perfect. And then, of course, I needed to get the 2-stage Palomino sharpener to get exactly sharp. So when I say I like your pencils, it's not like, hey, I like pencils. No, it's like, this is like so integral into my professional art direction career and my woodworking career. And it is the pencil I use. So thank you very much. Yes, I've said it.
Thank you.
I always find myself like just blanket talking about good tools, right? The box of 50 whatevers, I can lose 10 and not care, not know, not whatever. But I can tell you exactly where generally I have a 602 on my desk that is going. I have a 602 on my back bench wall that is going. One of them is for, my notebook stuff. One of them is for woodworking. I also have, I believe it's an Eras. That is another firm pencil lead, right? And a buddy gave me half of a box, and I love it. And I even would go so far as to, my wife got me purple erasers that go. So I put the purple erasers in my Eras because I'm able to identify them quicker that way. But all of that to say, I don't lose these pencils. I don't just let them lie around. When I pick up a good pencil, I'm more intentional about what I'm doing. I know, okay, let's sharpen it. Let's, make sure that we're getting a crisp line. Let's, sharpen it a little too far now. Let's blunt it just so that it's just so. And I mean, have you found that most people are the same way with your pencils? Are they? I mean, because in my head, I could probably survive the rest of my days with. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 4 boxes of Blackwings. I have more than that in the shop right now, but whereas cheap pencils, I could probably go through 400 of them in the rest of my days. So is that something that your fans talk about, Grant?
Yeah, it is. And I think one of the cool things about it and how this whole thing has spread and how we've grown is, I mean, obviously we put resources into marketing and that kind of thing. But I think if you tried to pinpoint the one way that most people have learned about Blackwing pencils, it's from a friend. It's or somebody gifting them one. And so it's this really amazing community where someone will buy, like you talked about, a friend giving you a half a box. Somebody will buy a box of pencils and they will share half of them with other people that they think will enjoy it. And that's kind of how it spread. And so just the whole communal aspect of that, and what it means. And the same thing you're saying, where people use these pencils all the way down to the nub,
Yeah.
right? They're not throwing them away. They're keeping track of them, yet they're willing to give them to anybody they think might appreciate it.
That's a strange
Isn't it?
distinction. Yeah, it's something you cherish, but it is one of the first things that I would give away in a heartbeat to anyone who expressed it. Actually, I had one stuck in my hat one day. I was down at the hardware store, and the clerk mentioned, "Oh, Blackwing pencils and blah blah." And I brought he had heard of them. I brought him down a few, and I brought him down one of the two-stage sharpeners because I have a few too many around here. And yeah, if you express interest in a Blackwing pencil, I'll probably give you a few. Yeah, that's interesting.
I met somebody one day, and he's pretty successful in the music industry, pretty well known. And he said, "Oh my gosh, Blackwing pencils." He said, I was at a show one time, and there's a musician who's a old friend of mine named Willie T. Taylor, and we've actually got a music label that we support independent artists. And he was one of the first artists that we did a project with. And he said that I was talking to this guy after his show, and he had a Blackwing pencil in his hat, and he just pulled the pencil out of his hat and gave it to me and told me the story and said, "You look like somebody who'd appreciate this." And that was how he discovered it. So there's all sorts of stories like that happen organically that, makes this movement that much more satisfying.
Yeah, I'm definitely the Johnny Appleseed of Blackwing pencils when I teach. I teach a number of courses throughout the year, and every time I've got 3 or 4 pencils in my apron, and whenever they get a little bit too short to not stick up out of the pocket, I'll give it to a student in the class. And now my reputation is beginning to precede me in that I'll be teaching, because of the podcast and stuff, that students will say, "Is that the Blackwing pencil that you use?" It's like, "Yep, it is. Here, have a little shorty on me." And it's the same thing. So just, passing it on. It's funny. Even my daughter, she's a potter. She's not a woodworker, but she even knows about Dad's pencils. "Do you think Dad would give me another one of his pencils?" And it's just like, so yeah, it's funny that personal connection. I wasn't really aware of the pencils before you brought them back, so I don't know if there's a debate among the diehards, sort of like in the music world, it was the pre-CBS vendors versus the post-CBS vendors. Is there any debate whatsoever about perceived quality of the old versus new?
No, I think maybe at the very beginning there were some of the traditionalists that were detractors just because they were traditionalists. But I think the more we got out there and the more people realized it, I think most of the people that test it say that it's at least comparable, and a lot of people say it's actually a little higher quality. Which, I mean, to be fair, the process is so intricate to make these pencils that, I mean, it's very, 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 very detailed. The entire process, especially the woodworking, the shaping. It starts out with 2 pencil slats, right? So they're rectangular pieces of wood, beads of graphite go on top, and then another slat on top. It's like a sandwich. And they get sliced in squares. And from there, they're shaped into pencils. And they have to be perfectly milled, perfectly fine-tuned to be able to take what, like a 602 has 11 different coats of lacquer and such as part of the finishing process.
Wow.
So it's just a very intricate process. So it would be, and that's the reason it went away. Like, people ask all the time, why did it go away for so many years? It's very difficult to make and very expensive to make. And so, these pencils sell for $35 a box, not $2 a box. And that's the only way that they could be viable. And so a lot of people just didn't have not only the know-how of how to make these pencils at that level of quality, but then if they did, to be able to afford to make them and believe in selling them at a price. So we were just very lucky to have, a family on board that knew how to make these pencils. And from there, it was about faith and, a little bit of insanity.
So you had mentioned like the perfect centering of that's not something I would have thought about, but absolutely something that is going to affect overall use of a pencil. Like it has to be perfectly centered. What is the reject rate on a batch of pencils? Like, or like, what is the I mean, are you just tooled up in a way that everything just comes out? Because I've never had an offset pencil from y'all.
Every pencil is touched by hand at our facility in Stockton, California. So every pencil that comes in is hand inspected. It touches somebody's hands. So it's, we've had a pretty good rate so far. Not to say that something couldn't slip through the crack, but we do all we can, and it's literally every pencil is touched by somebody before it goes out.
Okay, so I have in my hands, I guess this is how it all started, right? Do you want to talk about the 21?
Sure.
Yeah. So what is the 21, which is a new, it's an Eras, right? It's
a volumes
product.
Thank you. So about 10 years ago, we started what we call the volumes program, and it kind of plays off the Blackwing 602 being the model number. Nobody knows why. That was just the model number. It was just a number. So we started the volumes program where 4 times a year, we'll put out a limited edition pencil that's somehow tied to something that we believe as a creative community is an important person, place, event, topic that we want to shine a light on. So the very first one we did 10 years ago celebrated the anniversary of Bob Dylan plugging in at the Newport Folk Festival. And we made a pencil that had the sunburst finish on the guitar he played that year.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
That was the first one we did. And it was a limited edition, and they were gone in a week. And I was like, oh, okay, we better, maybe we're onto something. And so every one we do them 4 times a year. And once they're gone, they're gone. We never bring them back. So there's definitely a collectibility to it. But we've done some really cool ones over the years. The one I'm holding right now is we did the 75th anniversary of Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak to kind of bring attention to baseball scoring and scoring a baseball game by hand. So we've done some really cool stuff, and we've always wanted to do a woodworking pencil. So this latest edition that has just come out is our first tribute to woodworking. So it's the Blackwing 21, and every number has a significance. And in this case, the significance is kind of an ode to the old saying, measure twice, cut once. And it's our first square pencil as well. So all of our pencils are hexagonal, except for the Guy Clark pencil, which was round. We did a few years ago, but this is our first square pencil, which has kind of a nice feel to it, rounded edges.
I was wondering if it was if it was square to keep it from rolling off of workbenches, because I've noticed this one just stays right where I put it. So why square otherwise?
That was part of the inspiration.
Okay.
Absolutely. We felt like it fit, and we hadn't done it. And it took us a couple of years to get the tooling and everything figured out to get just the perfect shape and the perfect feel. We wanted a couple of the early prototypes. The corners were a little too sharp. Yeah. So it took a while to get there, but we're excited that it's out, and people seem to really dig it so far. It's been really popular the first week.
So this is a limited edition as well? Okay.
It is, yes.
Oh, all right. That's, Well,
you took most of them, Mike, so.
I know.
Don't come looking to me. I only grabbed 3 or 4.
Okay. So. Yeah, I felt the square, and it's like, well, this is different. I don't like different. And then I picked it up, and it's like super comfortable in a different way. Like it's definitely its own unique feel. And now I'm thinking, what if I really like this and I want to switch over and I can't? So, all right.
You need to temper yourself.
I don't know. Or you have, these are for sale on your website still?
They are. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mike, okay. you were really excited that they went with the firm lead, right? And do you want to talk about the firm? Now, do you want to talk about the woodworking, aspects of a firm lead pencil?
Yeah, so we offer 4 different types of lead. One is what we call soft lead, one is balanced, one is firm. And so it started out, those were the 3 options, and we called the middle one balanced because it was right in between the other 2. The firm one is probably closest to what most people might recognize as a number 2 pencil in terms of firmness, but it's quite a bit darker than a typical number 2 pencil. And then we had people asking, and we kind of just, as I think the first time we did it, we made a pencil that was a tribute to John Steinbeck. And it was a really cool process where we got to meet John's only living son and his daughter-in-law, and we got to spend some time with them. And he helped us design what he thought would have been his father's ideal pencil. And he said, this firm pencil is really great, but my dad would have liked it a little bit firmer. He likes a really sharp point. So we experimented and made the first what we call extra firm pencil as a tribute to John Steinbeck, and people just loved it. So now we offer a pencil on our regular line that has that extra firm graphite. So there's 4 different options, and it's really just it's preference. It's
Which one's the extra firm?
Preference. So that would be the natural. So in our regular stock product, the natural pencil is extra firm.
Oh, so the firm is normally the white one.
The 602.
Oh, okay.
So the matte is the softest.
Okay.
The pearl, which is the white one, is the balanced.
Okay.
The 602 is the firm. And then in the last couple of years, we added the natural, which is an extra firm, which is that same Steinbeck lead that a lot of people like. But there are people that when we make, like, there's a lot of people say, oh, yes, this woodworking pencil's in a firm lead. Great. But we had a few people that said, oh, man, I wish you would have made this in a softer lead. So it's personal preference, different people.
What's the silver?
So that's the 602. So that's the firm lead.
That is the firm. Okay. I always equated 602 with black. Okay. So that's cool. Yeah. I mean, so for me, being in the shop, always wanting a little bit sharper point on my pencils, the extra firm I really like, but for all of my thumbnailing and stuff, I like that next step down. So, yeah, thank you for putting both of those out. So all of this is really cool in that on occasion I'll have a student bring in a box of pencils and they'll be mixed colors. I'm guessing those are because you can subscribe to like the special issue pencils. Is that true?
Yes. So you can subscribe. We've got, and that's the way the program started, was as a subscription program, but we do sell them individually. But subscribers, they pay each year annually, and 4 times a year they get a box of pencils, and we keep them quiet so they don't know until you get them on your doorstep. And we ship them before we release them and announce what the pencil is or what it looks like. So those people get them first, they get a discount, and then they also get, every edition there's a bonus tied to the topic. So like this time, all of our subscribers, we put a little speed square in their subscription package and talk about the speed square and what a great utility tool it is for woodworking or anything.
Was it a Blackwing speed square?
I mean, we made it, but it wasn't necessarily a branded speed square that we're going to sell, but it was just kind of a fun item to throw.
Because I was about to jump on eBay. If there was like Blackwing speed square, I'm set the price.
Yeah. So every now and then a student will bring in a box of mixed colored pencils for me because they know I like Blackwing pencils. So I have a few boxes of those and they're super cool, but I never quite knew what the lead firmness was, but that's the equivalent. That's the 602. That's like what you call firm. Awesome. Yeah.
And we started, I don't know, I guess about a year ago, we started now blind stamping most of our pencils with the name of the lead on the pencil.
Oh, okay. You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I did notice that. This is the first time I've seen that on a pencil. That's very cool.
And you said that was about a year ago, because most of my stash is older than that. So, okay, gotcha. Huh. Learn new stuff about pencils. So, do you want to talk about sharpeners for a minute?
Sure.
Like, you have, I think Mike's the same. I'm a huge fan of the 2-stage sharpener.
Yeah.
There are other sharpeners in the Blackwing arsenal though, right? So what, like, do illustrators go for one type of point versus other folks? What's the point of having multiple lines of sharpeners?
So the sharpener you're talking about with the 2-stage, it's the first hole, it sharpens the wood. The second hole sharpens the graphite. You get a nice long point. For some people, It's too long. It's not as strong. It typically breaks if you put a lot of pressure when you put pencil to paper. So then we have a one-step sharpener that sharpens a pencil to a more scallop point that a lot of
Okay.
people like. It's a little bit stronger. And then the most recent addition to our line is this desktop sharpener that we spent. God, Alex Poirier, who does our product development. I mean, on all our sharpeners, it's taken several years to develop. But this one, I think we spent 3 years developing, trying to get the tooling, trying to get everything just right. So on this one, so those watching the video, it actually pulls the pencil in on its own.
Okay. So it's a box for audio only. It's a box, and I thought it was going to be an electric pencil sharpener, and I was kind of starting to cringe, but it was a very nice silent hand crank sharpener.
Yep. And so on this one, there's a little dial in the back that you can kind of dial in your point. So if you want the long point, like the two-step gets, or if you want more of a scallop point, a shorter point, you can modify it accordingly.
I'm just buying it right now. That's all.
We're working on a knife. We're working on a sharpening knife that I'm hoping it's going to come out next year sometime. It's another project we've been working on for a while, but there's some really cool sharpening knife prototypes that we're working on.
Okay, sharpeners. All right, I'll do this later. Sorry, this is making for bad pod. Okay.
So, like, there was a book that came out a few years back. It's like artisanal pencil sharpening. Were you familiar with that? And did that sort of play any part in resurgence in like handcrafted pencils and such?
So David Reese was the name of the guy who put that book out. And we actually, before the book came out, we had seen what he was doing online. And we did a little promotional video of him sharpening a Blackwing pencil and how to sharpen a Blackwing pencil. And I mean, we were so small and so young. I think we'd only been in business about a year doing this, the Blackwing thing. And all of a sudden, I think this thing got 100,000 views overnight, which for us was just off the charts.
Wow.
So it was really cool just in those early stages and kind of showing off what he did. And he did definitely bring some attention to pencils. And it's just, like I said, it's a lot of people, they don't know it. They don't get it. They give you the most puzzling look when you're like, what do you do? Or what, a pencil? They just don't quite get it. But those that do, that's who our people are. That's who our community is. And like I said, it's really as much of a culture as it is a product or a lifestyle brand. And David was one of the first, people really to help kind of shape that culture for sure.
So you've got a very particular wood, that particular cedar you use.
Yes.
There's obviously, you said like 11 coats of lacquer on the 602. So there's obviously finishing expertise and tooling that goes into it. Is there? It might have been before we started recording, but I joked about trying to find the recipe, the graphite recipe. Is this like a? And you said you don't know it. Is this like a family secret kind of thing, or?
I mean, we use a graphite producer out of Japan that is a very, very small, very artisan house to where, I mean, and I've been there, I've seen it, but it's, I know what it feels like. I know what the quality is in terms of the exact ratio of clay and graphite. I mean, it's, they know it, and people a lot smarter than I do know it. So I don't know it.
Okay.
But I know what it feels like. And I know when we test pencils, just QC and such, to make sure that, everything's on the right track.
So it's basically a clay and a graphite, and those are the two main ingredients to pencil lead.
Yes.
Okay. Huh. All right. Well, what are the other volumes coming out this year, or you can't say for?
Can't say.
Yeah.
So subscribers will know, and that's literally the first time anybody knows is when a subscription arrives on the first person's doorstep, and then a few days later we announce it and offer other people a chance to buy that particular edition. But we do 4 a year, basically once a quarter.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on and geeking out about pencils and all that. I mean, it's something we are passionate about, and it's kind of turned into an inside joke amongst ourselves and the listeners. Yeah, when your team reached out to the Fine Woodworking account and was like, "Hey, we've got woodworking inspired pencils," I was like, "You have no idea what we're like, how excited we would be to have." And then the idea of you coming on, it's like half of the staff is freaking out right now. So thank you
all
so
part
much.
of the same culture. So yeah, no,
It really
it's great.
is.
Very
Thank
cool.
you.
It's, somebody on staff one time, Liz Knapp one time on our staff called it chasing perfection. And like Fine Woodworking, we're always, in the things we build and in the magazine and everything we do, whether it's furniture or media, we're chasing perfection. And obviously Blackwing, you share the same affliction. So
Most definitely.
cool. All right, that does it for this episode of Shop Talk Live. Thank you so much for listening and engaging and all of that. Thank you big time to any subscribers and or unlimited members out there. I've said it before, I'm going to continue to say it, unlimited membership especially. It is the best way of supporting the show. Think of it as a Patreon that comes with a magazine and 50 years worth of woodworking information. And on top of that, you get to support Shop Talk Live. So thank you so much to all of the subscribers and unlimited members out there. If you're watching on YouTube, click that thumbs up button. If you feel called to, a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever the kids are calling it these days is really, really appreciated. Join us over on the Discord server, link in the doobly-doo. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Have a great one.